The night was silent on the remote human colony of Nova Horizon. Stars shimmered above like scattered diamonds, but there was an uneasy feeling in the air. The humans had grown used to the quiet and the isolation, but tonight something felt different. Far in the sky, a strange light moved faster than any star or satellite. It blinked, twisted, and suddenly, it fell from the sky, disappearing behind the hills that surrounded the colony. Commander Elias Carter, a tall man with a calm but alert demeanor, was the first to notice. "Did anyone see that?" he asked, his voice steady but tense. A few of the colonists looked up from their work, frowning. Some shrugged it off, thinking it was a meteor, but Elias knew better. There was no ordinary meteor that moved like that. Minutes later, a loud crash echoed from the hills. The ground trembled slightly, and dust rose in a cloud, drifting toward the colony. Humans gathered near the edge of the hill, peering through binoculars. Smoke spiraled into the night sky, and a small, glowing object could be seen among the debris. Elias motioned to a team of volunteers. "We need to check it out. Carefully. We don't know what we're dealing with." The team hurried down the slope, flashlights cutting through the darkness. As they reached the crash site, they saw a spaceship, torn and broken, its hull scorched. Bits of metal and strange crystals were scattered around. Inside, something moved. It was small, fragile, and clearly alive. The humans froze when they saw her. The child was unlike anything they had seen before. She had smooth, silver-blue skin that shimmered faintly under the flashlight, and her eyes were large and golden. She looked scared, her small body trembling. A strange, soft whine escaped her lips, almost like a cry for help, but it was not any language the humans knew. Lieutenant Myra Torres knelt beside the child cautiously. "She's hurt," she whispered. Her hand hovered, unsure whether the child would react aggressively. The child flinched but did not move away. There was something in her eyes that spoke of fear, loneliness, and a deep need for help. Before anyone could act, a transmission came through the colony's long-range scanner. It was from a group of alien ships approaching rapidly. Their voices were harsh, clipped, and urgent, broadcasting in a language humans could not understand. Elias frowned. "They're coming for her," he said. "And she's alone." Some of the colonists backed away. "Maybe we should leave her," one said nervously. "We don't know who she is. It could be dangerous." Others shook their heads. Myra looked at the child's small form. "We can't just leave her," she said firmly. "She didn't do anything wrong. She's just a kid." Elias made a quick decision. "We take her. Now. Get her to the med bay. Hide her if you have to." The team carefully lifted the child. She clung to Myra's shoulder, making small, chittering sounds that sounded almost like laughter, but her eyes were still full of worry. The humans ran back to the colony, glancing nervously at the sky. The alien ships were fast, moving like silver shadows, and they seemed to be searching. Back at the colony, the child was placed on a medical bed. She stayed quiet for a while, her head turning slowly from side to side, studying the humans. Myra approached her with gentle words, even though the child could not understand them yet. She offered water, but the child shook her head and let out a tiny, melodic sound. It was clear she was frightened, but not hostile. Elias entered the room, his face grave. "We need to be careful. Whatever her people, or whoever is coming, wants her for, it's serious. And we don't know what they'll do if they find her here." Outside, the colony's alarms remained silent, but the humans were on high alert. No one could sleep. Every shadow, every whisper of wind, every distant sound made hearts race. The child had become the center of a dangerous mystery. She was helpless, yet somehow, she carried a weight that made everyone uneasy. Hours passed. The child finally spoke in broken sounds, almost like syllables, but no one could understand her. Still, it was progress. She reached out her small hand to Myra, and Myra held it gently, promising protection in a language of kindness and touch. Suddenly, a distant thrum shook the ground. Lights in the sky flickered as if warning the colony of something coming. Elias rushed to the observation deck, eyes scanning the horizon. The alien ships were closer now, moving faster than any human craft should. Their intentions were clear, they wanted the child, and they would not stop. Myra looked down at the small alien in her arms. The child's golden eyes met hers, filled with trust and fear at the same time. Myra whispered softly, "We won't let them take you." At that moment, a sharp sound cracked through the night, a warning shot from one of the approaching alien scouts. The colony was no longer safe. The humans had made a choice, and there was no turning back. They would protect this child, no matter the cost. The night on Nova Horizon had changed forever. A helpless alien child had fallen into human hands, and in that quiet, tense moment, every human realized that they were about to face something bigger than themselves, something that would test courage, morality, and ingenuity like never before. The morning sun rose over Nova Horizon, casting a pale light on the colony that had been tense all night. The humans had stayed awake, keeping watch over the small alien child. She slept fitfully, curling into herself, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Every so often, she would murmur soft, melodic sounds, and the humans would lean closer, listening, trying to understand. Commander Elias Carter stood in the observation room, staring at the scanner screens. The alien ships from last night were still near the colony's orbit, moving slowly but deliberately. Their intentions were clear, they wanted the child. Elias rubbed his chin and sighed. He had a choice to make, and it was not an easy one. Lieutenant Myra Torres entered the room, holding a cup of steaming coffee. "We can't just wait for them," she said. "We have to decide what to do with her. Hide her, keep her safe, or send her back. But sending her back. I can't do it." Elias turned to her, his face serious. "Myra, you know what's at stake. We don't know who she really is, or what she could do. If we keep her, we put everyone here in danger." Myra shook her head. "And if we return her, we betray her. She's a child, Elias. She didn't ask for any of this. She's helpless, and she trusts us. We can't just throw her away." The debate continued among the colony leaders. Some argued that the aliens would see the humans as enemies if they kept her. They feared war, destruction, and death. Others argued that humans were capable of empathy and courage, and that abandoning a helpless child went against everything they stood for. Meanwhile, the child stirred in the medical bay. Her golden eyes slowly opened, blinking against the morning light. She looked around, her gaze meeting Myra's. There was no fear this time, only curiosity. Myra approached her carefully, speaking softly, though the child could not understand the words. She reached out, and the child placed a small hand on Myra's. It was a simple gesture, but it carried more trust than words could express. Elias entered the med bay quietly. He knelt beside Myra and the child. "We have a decision to make," he said. "Do we risk everything to protect her, or do we send her back to her people and hope they spare the colony?" The child tilted her head, looking from Elias to Myra. Then she made a strange sound, almost like a laugh, and extended both small hands toward Myra. Myra took them gently. That simple act, so innocent, made the decision clear in her heart. They would protect her. Elias nodded slowly. "Very well. We keep her. But we need a plan. We need to hide her, teach her, and be ready for whatever comes." The humans began their preparations. They moved the child to a secure room deep within the colony, a place no outsider could find easily. The room was filled with soft lights, blankets, and supplies. Sensors and cameras were installed around the perimeter, and security teams were briefed to remain alert. Every adult in the colony knew the stakes. One mistake could mean disaster. The child explored her new room cautiously. She touched the walls, ran her fingers over the soft blankets, and made small humming noises. Myra tried to communicate, showing her simple symbols and pointing to objects. The child watched closely, tilting her head, then mimicking some of Myra's gestures. There was progress, small but meaningful. That afternoon, a scout returned with disturbing news. The alien ships had sent a message, a warning broadcasted in strange signals that the human scanners could barely interpret. The child species wanted her back, and they would not negotiate. The humans realized they were on their own. There would be no peaceful solution. Despite the danger, something remarkable happened. The child reached out to touch a small plant Myra had placed on the table. She whispered soft, musical sounds, and the plant seemed to react, leaning slightly toward her. Myra gasped quietly. She's special," she whispered. Not dangerous, but powerful. Elias frowned. We can't assume her abilities will be harmless. We have to teach her control. She could save us, or put us all in danger. The colony began training the child, in small steps. They taught her simple words, how to communicate with humans, and how to stay safe. She learned quickly, picking up human gestures and sounds, showing intelligence beyond her years. The humans began to bond with her. In the midst of fear and uncertainty, a sense of hope grew. Night fell again over Nova Horizon, and the alien ships hovered silently in orbit. The humans kept watch, alert for any sign of attack. The child lay asleep in her secure room, but her small chest rose and fell with an inner strength that hinted she knew more than she revealed. Myra stood outside the door, looking down the long corridor of the colony. She whispered softly, "We won't let them take you. Not ever." The wind whispered back through the open window, carrying a sense of promise, a quiet reassurance. The humans had made their choice. They would protect the helpless alien child, no matter the cost. And in that decision, they revealed the best of humanity: courage, empathy, and unwavering determination. But the night was not peaceful. Somewhere in the darkness, the alien ships waited. Somewhere in the cold vastness of space, eyes watched. The humans had chosen to protect her, but protecting her would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. The days on Nova Horizon passed in a strange mix of routine and tension. The alien child had begun to settle into the safe room, but she remained cautious, always alert to sounds and movements outside. Humans moved quietly, careful not to scare her, and the small colony had begun to revolve around her presence. She was fragile yet mysterious, innocent yet clearly intelligent, and every colonist sensed that she held secrets beyond their understanding. Lieutenant Myra Torres took the lead in teaching her. Each morning, she brought small objects, a cup, a book, a simple tool, and showed the child how to use them. At first, the child watched silently, tilting her head as if analyzing everything. She did not speak in words, only small melodic sounds that echoed in the quiet room. One day, Myra held up a cup of water. "Drink," she said softly. The child hesitated, looking from the cup to Myra, then carefully sipped. She spilled a few drops, but Myra only smiled. "It's okay. Try again." Slowly, the child learned to handle the cup without spilling. It was a small victory, but it filled the room with hope. Commander Elias Carter watched from a distance, his mind filled with worry. The alien ships in orbit had not left. Scouts reported them still circling, scanning, waiting. He knew that this peace was temporary. Protecting the child would require strategy, courage, and intelligence far beyond normal expectations. Despite the danger, the humans noticed something extraordinary. The child began to experiment with small powers. One morning, she touched a plant, and its leaves bent slightly toward her hand. Myra gasped quietly, pulling back her hand. She's learning," Elias said, amazed and cautious. Not just language, but control over the environment. Training became more deliberate. The humans wanted to teach her skills for survival, not just language. They showed her how to recognize danger, how to move quietly, and how to hide when necessary. The child picked up quickly, showing understanding far beyond a normal child. She mimicked their movements, copied their gestures, and responded to simple commands. Slowly, trust grew between her and the humans. But trust did not mean the child was without fear. One evening, a storm rolled over the colony. Thunder shook the ground, and lightning lit up the dark sky. The child trembled, curling into herself and making soft, frightened sounds. Myra knelt beside her, wrapping her arms gently around her. "It's okay," Myra whispered. "We're here. You're safe." The child looked into Myra's eyes, and for the first time, her golden eyes glowed with something human, understanding and comfort. It was a small but profound connection, and the humans felt a sense of purpose. Protecting her was not just a duty, it was a moral choice, a chance to show the best of humanity. However, their peace was not complete. Scouts reported that other alien groups were moving closer to the planet. Messages had been intercepted, and though the humans could not understand them fully, the tone was clear: the child was valuable, and they would not abandon her. One afternoon, while practicing simple gestures, the child accidentally activated a small power. A light spark floated from her hand, illuminating the room. Myra froze, unsure whether to be scared or amazed. The child looked at her with innocent curiosity, clearly unaware of what she had done. Elias entered the room, seeing the light. "This is more than we imagined," he said quietly. "We have to help her control it." The training took on a new urgency. They created simple exercises for her powers, small and safe, to help her understand her abilities. She began to learn balance, focus, and control. Slowly, she could move objects a few inches, make a light glow, or sense the human's presence in the room even when she was not looking directly at them. Humans began to marvel at her intelligence and adaptability. She learned faster than anyone expected. Her ability to trust and cooperate with them made her remarkable. Even the toughest colonists, who had once argued that she was dangerous, began to see her not as a threat but as a being worth protecting at any cost. But the threat outside never faded. Each night, the alien ships hovered above, their lights scanning the colony like predators. The humans knew they were running out of time. The child was learning, growing, and showing potential, but she was also a beacon to dangerous forces beyond their world. One night, as the colony slept fitfully, the child approached Myra, making soft, melodic sounds. She pointed at the window where the alien ships glinted in orbit. Myra understood her meaning. "I know," she whispered. "They want you. But we will protect you. Always." The child looked into Myra's eyes, and for a moment, the weight of the universe seemed to rest in that small gaze. She had been forsaken once, left alone in a cold galaxy, but here, in this human colony, she had found trust, compassion, and safety. And in that trust, the humans discovered something profound about themselves. Their courage, empathy, and ingenuity were not just tools of survival, they were the very essence of what made them human. They had chosen to protect the helpless, and in doing so, they were shaping a future where even a small, alien child could find hope in their hands. The night stretched long, filled with quiet anticipation. The humans knew challenges lay ahead, but for the first time, they felt a flicker of hope. Training had begun, trust had formed, and the child had started to understand the human world. The question remained, how long could they keep her safe from those who sought her, and what would happen when her true power was fully revealed? Night had fallen over Nova Horizon, and the colony was tense. Every light flicker, every distant sound, made the humans pause and listen. The alien child slept in her secure room, curled into herself, unaware of the storm that was about to hit. Commander Elias Carter walked the corridors, checking security feeds and sensors. The alien ships in orbit had been moving closer, scanning the planet for any sign of the child. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the control room. Scouts had detected fast-moving ships entering the atmosphere. Alien hunters. They were coming for the child. The humans froze for a moment, hearts pounding. There was no time to debate. "Everyone to your stations," Elias shouted. "Defend the colony. Protect the child at all costs." The humans moved quickly. Engineers grabbed weapons, barricaded entrances, and activated defensive drones. Myra stayed with the child, keeping her calm. "It's okay," she whispered. "They won't touch you. We'll protect you." The child looked up with wide, golden eyes, then reached out and touched Myra's arm, as if drawing courage from her. Outside, the alien hunters descended. Their ships were sleek, faster than any human craft, and they opened fire immediately. Energy blasts struck the colony's outer walls, shaking the ground. Humans returned fire with whatever weapons they had. It was not just a battle of strength but of strategy and intelligence. Lieutenant Ravi Singh directed the defense. "Focus on the incoming ships. Use the terrain. Don't let them get inside." Humans dodged, fired, and used the colony's small drones to mislead the attackers. Every move was calculated, showing the ingenuity of humanity against a superior force. Meanwhile, the alien child stirred. Her golden eyes glowed faintly as she extended her hands. A small shield of energy formed around her room, deflecting minor blasts. Myra gasped. "She's helping," she shouted. The child did not understand fully what she was doing, but her instinct to protect those who protected her was clear. The battle raged outside. The humans were outnumbered, but they fought with courage and clever tactics. Using tunnels, traps, and quick thinking, they managed to slow the alien hunters. Even the smallest colonists played a role, carrying supplies, tending to the wounded, and keeping the defensive systems running. One alien ship broke through the outer barrier, heading straight for the child's room. Myra grabbed her and pulled her to the floor. The ship fired, and sparks flew around them. The child reached out instinctively, and a surge of energy knocked the attackers back. The humans stared in awe. Her power was growing, and though uncontrolled, it was already formidable. Elias directed the defense with calm authority. Push them back. Use the drones and the traps. Don't give them an inch. The humans moved like a single unit, coordinating perfectly. Their teamwork and ingenuity turned the tide, forcing the alien hunters to retreat, at least temporarily. As silence returned, the humans checked the child. She was unharmed, sitting on the floor, trembling but calm. Myra hugged her gently. "You did it," she whispered. "You helped us protect your home." The child looked up, her golden eyes shining with a mixture of pride and fear. She was beginning to understand the bond she shared with these humans. But there was no time to celebrate. From the horizon, a shadow appeared in the sky. A massive alien warship descended slowly, its engines casting an eerie glow over the colony. It was far larger than any of the scouts and clearly commanded by someone of authority. The humans realized that the first attack was only a warning. The real threat was coming. Elias gathered his team. "We've held them off for now," he said. "But the next wave will be worse. We need to prepare. Train the child more, use every resource, and be ready. This is only the beginning." Myra stayed by the child, holding her hand. "They want you," she said softly. "But we won't let them take you. We will fight. Always." The child looked at her, her small hands gripping Myra's, and for the first time, she smiled faintly. She trusted them completely. Outside, the warship hovered like a dark cloud, silent but menacing. The humans knew that the battle was far from over. They had shown courage, cleverness, and teamwork, but the coming fight would test them even more. The alien child had proven herself in small ways, but her true powers were still unknown. The first attack had ended, but the war for her survival, and the survival of the humans, was only beginning. In the quiet aftermath, the colony held together, hearts racing, minds alert, and determination burning stronger than ever. Humanity had faced a greater force and survived, not through raw strength, but through courage, intelligence, and an unwavering commitment to protect the helpless. Night fell again, and the child lay in her secure room, her golden eyes slowly closing. Outside, the massive warship watched, waiting. And the humans prepared, knowing that the real test of courage, strategy, and humanity was about to begin. The morning sun barely touched the horizon of Nova Horizon. The colony was quiet after the first attack, but tension lingered like a shadow. Humans moved carefully, checking sensors, repairing walls, and preparing for the inevitable return of the alien forces. The child remained in her secure room, awake now, watching the humans with curiosity. Her golden eyes reflected not just innocence, but a depth of understanding that unsettled and amazed the colonists. Lieutenant Myra Torres sat beside her, trying to communicate through gestures and simple words. The child repeated the sounds Myra made, tilting her head thoughtfully. Every day, she learned a little more, understanding the humans, and teaching them something about herself without words. Commander Elias Carter entered the room quietly. He looked at the child with a mixture of respect and caution. "We need to know more about her," he said. "We can't protect her if we don't understand who, or what, she is." The child looked at Elias, then at Myra, then back at Elias. She made a strange sound, almost like a hum, and reached for a small tablet on the table. She tapped it, and a hologram flickered to life. It was old and distorted, but it showed a spaceship, a planet, and symbols the humans could not read. Elias frowned. "What is she trying to show us?" The child touched the hologram again. This time, images of her people appeared, a species with similar skin, similar glowing eyes, but older, taller, and severe in appearance. The images showed a laboratory, strange devices, and finally, her as a small child being left alone. Myra gasped. She was abandoned," she whispered. "They left her. Forsook her." The child made another sound, and the hologram shifted to a bright, glowing object. Elias's eyes widened. "That's some kind of device." Or a power source? Is that why they want her? The child nodded slowly, her golden eyes steady. She pointed at herself and then at the device, as if to say, "It is inside me. I am connected." The humans understood immediately. The child was not just any alien. She carried something dangerous, powerful, and potentially world-changing. Her species had abandoned her not because she was weak, but because they feared her abilities. She was a key to something ancient and powerful, and they had chosen to leave her behind. Myra held the child's small hand. "You're safe with us," she said softly. "We'll protect you. Always." The child looked at her, a faint glow in her eyes, and seemed to understand fully for the first time. Trust had been established, a bond that no enemy could break. Elias turned to the team. "This changes everything. She's not just a child. She's a potential weapon, or a potential savior. We have to prepare. We have to train her, understand her powers, and protect her from those who would use her for their own gain." Training resumed immediately, but with a new focus. The humans began to help the child understand her abilities, carefully, step by step. They experimented safely, teaching her control and restraint. She could move small objects, sense energy, and even influence the environment around her in subtle ways. But her full potential was still unknown, and each display of power brought awe and fear in equal measure. Despite their progress, the alien threat was far from gone. Scouts reported that the massive warship from the first attack had returned, now joined by smaller craft. Their transmissions were urgent and relentless. They demanded the child be returned, or they would destroy anything that stood in their way. But humans were undeterred. They worked tirelessly, fortifying the colony, designing traps, and planning strategies. Every colonist had a role, from the youngest to the oldest. They were not just defending a child, they were defending a principle. Humanity did not abandon the helpless, even against overwhelming odds. Late that night, Myra watched the child sleep. Her small chest rose and fell steadily, golden eyes closed, her soft breaths illuminating the room faintly. Myra whispered softly, "You are safe. We will protect you, no matter what." The child stirred and muttered something that sounded almost like words. Myra could not understand, but she sensed a promise. The child would fight with them when the time came, and together they could face any threat. Outside, the alien ships hovered silently, their presence a constant reminder of the danger ahead. But inside the colony, hope had grown. The humans had discovered not only the child's secret but also something about themselves. Their ingenuity, courage, and morality were their greatest weapons. They were ready to protect her, not just for survival, but because it was the right thing to do. And as the night stretched on, a quiet understanding settled in the hearts of the humans. The child was not just a being to protect, she was a symbol. A symbol of trust, courage, and the unyielding power of humanity. The revelation had changed everything. The child's past was now known, her purpose slowly understood, and the humans had chosen their path. What remained unknown was how powerful she truly was, and what challenges lay ahead when her abilities fully awakened. The galaxy waited, silent and vast, as humans and the alien child prepared for the battles yet to come. The night sky over Nova Horizon was filled with tension. The massive alien warship that had been circling the planet hovered silently above the colony, casting a shadow over the human settlement. Smaller ships darted around it, scanning for any sign of the alien child. Inside the colony, humans worked tirelessly, reinforcing barriers, checking weapons, and preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Commander Elias Carter stood on the observation deck, eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. His mind raced with plans, strategies, and contingencies. Every human in the colony knew the stakes. If the aliens succeeded, the child would be taken, and the colony might be destroyed. But failure was not an option. They had made a promise, and humanity did not abandon the helpless. Lieutenant Myra Torres knelt beside the child in her secure room. The small alien girl's golden eyes glowed faintly, reflecting both fear and determination. She had grown under human care, learning to control her powers, communicate, and trust. Myra held her hands gently. "They want to take you," she said softly. "But we will fight. Together." The child's eyes met hers, and in that gaze was a silent understanding. She would stand with them, not as a helpless child, but as an ally. The first wave of alien scouts attacked just as dawn broke. Energy beams struck the colony's outer walls, and humans responded with everything they had. Drones zipped through the battlefield, sensors flared, and traps ensnared the attackers. Humans used strategy, ingenuity, and teamwork to defend their home. Every colonist, young and old, contributed in some way, proving that courage and intelligence were just as powerful as weapons. The child remained in her secure room at first, but when an alien scout broke through a barrier, she instinctively extended her hands. A surge of energy erupted, sending the intruder flying and shutting down the attacker's systems. Myra gasped. "She's ready," she whispered. Elias directed the defense calmly but firmly. "Hold the line. Focus on teamwork. Remember what we've trained for." Humans fought with precision and courage, turning their vulnerability into strength. The aliens had expected easy prey, but they found cleverness, strategy, and determination at every turn. The alien warship unleashed its main attack, firing a massive energy beam at the colony's center. Humans scrambled to deflect it, using shields, counter-energy devices, and clever maneuvers. Myra grabbed the child and guided her to a position where she could contribute without being overwhelmed. The child focused, golden eyes glowing brightly. Energy pulsed from her hands, forming a protective barrier around the colony's central hub. The alien beam struck the shield, but it held. Sparks and energy rippled through the air, but the humans and the child stood firm. It was clear that her powers were growing, controlled by the trust she had developed with the humans. As the battle raged, humans used their intelligence to outmaneuver the enemy. Small drones disabled alien engines, traps slowed their forces, and clever strategies allowed the colony to fight back effectively. It was not just the child's power that won the day, but the unity and ingenuity of humanity. Finally, the alien forces began to retreat. Their ships fled back into space, leaving the colony battered but standing. Humans cheered quietly, exhausted but triumphant. Myra knelt beside the child, hugging her tightly. "You did it," she whispered. "We all did it." Elias approached, smiling despite his weariness. "This is what humanity is capable of," he said. "Not just strength, but courage, intelligence, and compassion. We protect the helpless because it is the right thing to do. Today, we showed that our greatest power is our humanity." The child looked up at him, golden eyes shining with understanding. She had been abandoned once, left alone in the galaxy, but now she had found trust, protection, and family. She had helped humans, and they had helped her in return. Together, they had survived, grown stronger, and proven that unity and empathy could overcome even the greatest threats. As the colony settled into a cautious calm, the humans worked to repair damages and care for each other. The child sat with Myra, learning new words, laughing softly, and exploring her powers in controlled ways. The bond between her and the humans had become unbreakable. Elias looked up at the stars, thinking about the galaxy beyond. There would always be challenges, threats, and dangers. But if humans faced them together, with courage, intelligence, and compassion, there was no force they could not withstand. For the first time in her life, the child smiled freely, knowing she was safe. And for the humans, she became more than just a responsibility. She became a symbol of hope, unity, and the triumph of humanity in the face of the unknown. The night ended quietly, with the alien warship gone and the colony standing strong. The child slept peacefully, surrounded by humans who had chosen to protect her, and humanity had proven once again that no matter how small or helpless a being might seem, courage, intelligence, and empathy could change the course of the universe. The bond had been forged in fire and fear, in danger and trust. And it was unbreakable.